A very good evening to you, AJ, and everybody else. Welcome to my stream. This is Tiger. And yeah, I'm so happy that Twitch allowed me to start without any hiccups today. And we are back to one more stream in Train Sim World 4. Again, we can count down the times how often we can hear those birds singing and early morning music before we have to switch and get adjusted to the fanfares and whatever we get with Train Sim World 5. I don't know how many people are really excited about it. We will see. We will see what happens with that. Today, I want to pick up on one thing that we started discussing 2 weeks ago when we were playing on Rapid Transit, and we encountered at least one instance where we had the black triangular set as 3 speed restriction sign next to the square white with black number LF7 speed restriction sign, and we discussed it a bit, how it can be necessary to have those 2 signs at the same spot. Isn't one of them enough? And well, the funny thing is, I tried to compare what is in the game with what is in real life, watching cab view videos, and obviously it turned out what was to be expected. It totally is different in the game than it is in those cab view videos. There is maybe a gap of 3 years, 3-4 years, so maybe the signaling actually has changed. But well, maybe it is just a good opportunity to discuss and get a little bit deeper into the concepts that we have already discussed with speed limits by speed boards, LF6, LF7 for track speeds, and ZS3 and ZS3V for signal speed restrictions, sometimes as signs, sometimes as light signals, and the concept of the anschließender weichen Bereich, the ensuing interlocking spectre. Hey, good evening. Nice to see you on the chat again. Yeah, maybe you can help me figure out this specific situation around Leipzig Nord. And maybe you can also help me figure out the problem with starting this specific train that I have not used so far, because it is really sometimes hard to get it going. Spectre says, just watched your 2 most recent videos in Train Sim World 6. We need an Eisenbahn-Bundesamt mode. Explore high speed and unlimited creativity when docking AI drivers and imposing fines. Yes, maybe we can implement this. We can play as driver or as conductor or as regulator from the Eisenbahn-Bundesamt. Yeah, it is actually so complicated if you look into all the regulations that you have on European in the European law. But on the other hand, it is interesting to see how the same European law regulations are then transformed into French law, into German law, into Greek law. Fine. Theodorus, nice to see you on the chat. Hello. Oh, stream started yet or still trouble? No. Luckily today there is no trouble. At least the stream started. What typically does not really start that rail is the train in this really old vintage thing, Rapid Transit, the oldest German route I think that there is, and one of the oldest trains that I have not used so far, and I actually have the goal to use each and every train that I have at least once in my stream. And because, well, Trains in World 5, you know, throwing out one DLC after the other, one train after the other, one game version after the other. Yes, maybe to juxtapoint this, or what is the word for this? I really play the old the oldest things that I have and want to see how they perform under Train Sim World 4 and if you really can use them. And sometimes you find some gems in them. Juxtapose it is, no? Not juxtapoint. Well, maybe someone can tell me who actually can speak English, unlike me. Yeah, let's try to get this train going. Because the problem is with those double traction Talent 2s, the silver ones from Mitteldeutschland, they look not so bad in my opinion, but the multi-unit traction stuff doesn't really work. One trick actually is just to wait a bit until the script has actually worked to its end. If you listen to the train, what it is doing, it is approximately 10-15 seconds for the train just clicking and switching and turning things on and off, and we're starting with no air in the brake cylinders, and if the ground is not level, the train might run away. Nevertheless, the train is already switched on. What we can do, just try to start this train a bit naive, turn on the safety system things, PZB and CIFA. There is no LZB implemented, at least not in the game. Train is not running away. Indirect brake is released. We don't have anything in any air in the brake cylinders, so lights are on, at least the marker lights, so Spitzensignal ZG1 is active. Let's try to get this train running. Nothing happens. Nothing is moving. One thing I have found out, if that happens, is magic. Parking brake on. Parking brake off. Still doesn't work. Well, the trick is now a bit ruined because I did not set the reverser. It actually still does not work if you put the reverser on. This is the one with the parking brake. It is not actually enabled because if you just release it, it does not work. You have to actually apply it and release it again, and then you remove the traction lock. So whole trick actually would have been more fun with the reverser already set to forward. So everyone can say, well, it just did not work because the reverser was not set anyway. Well, but the real problem is actually the second train here. My second train, if we look at it, it is on, but it is not applying any power. You can see how this little thingy is moving. Here, this little indicator that shows you what your combined brake and traction controller is set to, but there is no color in it. It neither brakes nor applies traction, the second train, and this is a problem that on some services it can be fixed with waiting a bit. On other services I have not really found a way to do it. Sometimes you can fiddle around on the train in the back, and then I managed to get it going, but then it would not brake anymore at a certain point. But well, nevertheless, what I wanted to do here when running from Messe towards Leipzig Messe, is to talk about the situation here when we're coming into Leipzig Nord. What is that actually here? This station. And we got quite interesting signals here. Dovetailing, clicking on everything to get the train moving. And that is theoretically already set up perfectly. Yeah, that might actually be something to put into the Oxford's dictionary. and our train does not apply any power. It shows, even though the switch is on off, it shows indications on the display. We are also not getting any information that we are drawing any energy from the line. So actually we have to drive this two train set consist with one train alone. This is why it's a bit of a leaden duck here, and have to take this into account when we're trying to slow the train down. But actually I won't drive the service to the end. I just want to go in from Leipzig Messe to Leipzig Nord. If you look at the map, there is actually one more station in between, Leipzig essener Straße. That is not implemented in the game. Don't know, maybe it is actually... It had not been built at the time that this thing here is put onto the timeline. So now we got an LF7 for 120 line speed. What will be necessary information for discussing the signaling problem here. Now we are getting a yellow 9, a set as 3V, Kennziffer 9, that announces that at the next signal we will be slowed down to 90. We did not get 1000 Hertz, what was now okay, because we were not going faster than 105. But still, even if you're going faster than 105, you don't get 1000 Hertz at this point. Yeah, actually, can almost sell this as a early version of the expert train. Always find the fault, even with not reproducible faults. So we are driving under a signal restriction of 90. Next signal that we are getting, again at the main signal, that is at the same time a distance signal, but you can see at the white red white mast sign with the yellow triangle, we're getting another 90 signaled. Now this is the situation where you have a 10 and a 10. This is the one what I actually want to talk about today. This situation here, where you get an LF7 with 100, and you can hardly see it, but sometimes depends on the lighting. You can see there is actually a 10 on this sign here. So I don't want to discuss the lighting on this sign, and if they could have used a bit more paint to make it more obvious. This is not what I want to discuss. I want to discuss why do we need two signs announcing a speed limit of 10 here. It is not for our track, it is for the track next to us, because it is for us on the left side without an arrow or anything. And the other track is not the Gegengeleis, it is a track that is coming in here through this tunnel. Fortunately, in photo mode we cannot accelerate. So the Gegengleis, the track for the opposite direction, is here on this dam. But here it is coming in this track through the tunnel. And here we have the same situation again with an 8, LF7 with an 8. And here, if you find the correct lighting, you will find that here is also an 8 on this sign. So why do we need that? Why do we need both signs that obviously have different indications, but they all indicate a speed limit of 8? Yeah, PR statement, the back end train is having a trouble, just like real life. And CD radar says 10. And the other one is 8. Right. Perny, very nice to have you on the stream. Greetings to Finland. So, and if you remember what we got on the first signal before, or the last signal before getting to this point, we got a fully green signal with a white 9. Mehrbereichs- or Mehrabschnittssignal, meaning a main signal at the same time a distance signal. And now we are getting a signal, doesn't have any sign, so this is a signal repeater. It looks black, but actually there is a green light flashing. You can't see this in photo mode. It has the repeater indicator on the top left, and it is repeating the fully green aspect, but now with an announced reduction to 100. So that is surprising in itself, that we got on the repeater a different aspect that we got. Maybe it just switched in the meantime, but I don't think so. The repeater gets repeated again by the next repeater with the same indication. And then on the next main signal, again a Mehrabschnittssignal, main signal plus distance signal. Here we get the white 10, so from here signal 10, and then the next reduction is announced again. Will be 80 at the next signal. At the same time, we get an ZS2 announced by the ZS2V indicator that is telling us most probably that we are going tief in the main station. Means we're going down underneath the earth. You can also see it for tunnel, but I guess it is for tief. Yeah. This is the situation here. Or to the left, maybe. But we're actually going to the right. But to the left will be on the part of the Hauptbahnhof that is actually on level ground and not underneath. It is represented a bit in the game. Just stop this train here. I don't want to play this service anymore. Yeah, Sifa. You can see is on the left. This is all stuff that belongs to Leipzig Main, Leipzig Hauptbahnhof, and you can see the building here. That is Leipzig Hauptbahnhof, the part that is on level ground. You can even see a turntable with an arrangement that will probably not work if you just cross the tracks like it is done here. And you can see the ramp where the trains that we can play are going underground. This is the part. How did they make it like that? Well, yeah, this is one big Bahnhof. And obviously you're not supposed to shunt around, what is a bit sad here, but still a lot of tracks needed to be represented here. So I need my presentation to discuss this situation with two signs saying apparently the same. Why do we need two of them? And let's have a closer look. Where is my presentation? Can you see it? Yeah, here. Yeah, we have to put together what we have learned about the different kinds of speed limits and yeah, the concept of the ensuing interlockings to understand this. So I tried to make a sketch of the situation that we hear. This is the line that we have just ran along. This is the one for the opposite direction. This is actually what we are going on when we are driving the services that are bound for Dessau, that are going to the north. We're coming from Leipzig Messe in the game. In real life there would be Leipzig essener Straße in between. It is not represented. Maybe it has been built afterwards. No idea why it is not there in the game. Maybe they thought there are so many stations. We don't need that. The essener Straße is in the game actually. It looks a bit smaller than it looks in real life, but the station is not there. This is to Leipzig Hauptbahnhof. This is Leipzig Nord, where we just stopped our train, and this is the other track that is coming in from a station that is obviously not in the game because it is a side branch. It is called Leipzig Mockauer Straße, yes, and it is coming from Leipzig Thekla. It goes through a tunnel that is called, if I have seen it correctly, the Eilenburger Tunnel. And it is connected here with crossovers so that those tracks can be reached from every direction. And this is the track that we have just taken in the game. And let's look at the speed restrictions that we get here. The last sign of this kind that gives us the track speed limit was a 12, telling us we can go 120. Then we met a signal. There was a main signal, at the same time distance signal functionality, Mehrabschnittssignal with a steady green. And after having been announced with a yellow 9, we got a white 9 here, so that signal speed is now slower than track speed. We have always adhered to the slower speed if signal speed and track speed is not the same, obviously. Everyone knows that, and this signal is called 84G. The next signal that we got was again a signal of that kind, main signal at the same distance signal, Mehrabschnittssignal. Again, what we saw was a full green with a white 9. Does that make sense to repeat the 9 after it has been repeated here? Yeah, first application of the concept of the ensuing Weichenbereich. We will get back to this. I think that this is already the entry signal for Leipzig Hauptbahnhof, according to the numbering. And if we are allowed to pass an entry signal, then the ensuing Weichenbereich, if you think back to this video that we had about this, is up to the next main signal in general. Can differ if there is a regular stopping point in between, but typically entry signals, home signals, the ensuing interlockings are up to the next main signal again. So, but then it ends. So, and if we want a 90 limit that goes on after this signal, then we need to give a new 9. This 9, white 9, was not introduced by a yellow one, but is probably okay because we had already a little bit of 90, so the new 90 was not the reduction here. But then this was this thing that was a bit confusing. The repeater that we saw was a flashing green, what we always get if there is a speed restriction upcoming with the repeater light, that is okay, and then with a yellow 10 announcing a limit to 10 to 100. What actually followed then on the signal, most probably an intermediate signal after Leipzig Nord, where we got a new announcement of a limit of 80 that will follow on a signal further on when we're going closer to Leipzig Hauptbahnhof. But what we did not get, and what we probably would have expected, is already the introduction and the announcement of the limit to 10 at this signal here, and then the green light should have been flashing. In real life, I have actually checked a cab view video with well, a different signaling here, but it has, the signal in real life has a box underneath the main signal screen that can show a figure like this. So if there is correct signaling to introduce the restriction, the upcoming restriction with an ZS3V for the first time on a repeater, I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe anyone knows if it can be done this way. In real life, from what I've seen, you get a 10 here, so you go into this with a 100 restriction, and again here with a 100 restriction, so you run through the whole thing with the 100 restriction, and at this signal exiting Leipzig Nord, you will at the same time get announced that the 80 is upcoming, and then when running into the tunnel you will be limited to 80. But this is maybe some years later. The cab views that I watched are from 2020. The first timetable for Rapid transit is 2017, I think. So maybe something has changed here also. But this is what we see when we play the service. But what we don't see, and what is actually not our problem, are those funny combinations of those doubled speed limit signs. LF7 for track speed and ZS3 for the signal speed. So why is it necessary to have those two signals? To understand this better, I watched a CapView video and wanted to find out how the signaling is actually when you're coming along this line. When you're coming from Leipzig Thekla, passing Leipzig Straße, and then run up this line to go to Leipzig Nord. And then you will pass here through this crossover to end up on the correct track again. So what you can already see or still see in the game is that there is a signal numbered 84H. You can see the familiarity 84G, 84H for this signal. It is again a Mehrabschnitt signal, main signal plus distance signal functionality. It only has a box on top of it, indicating that it can only show a white number on top of the signal. So already an executed speed limit at this point, not an upcoming speed limit that should be introduced by those signals here. And then if you watch the videos, it is a bit confusing. One thing that you learn from the videos is that this is apparently already the entry signal, the home signal for Leipzig Hauptbahnhof. Then probably the 84G is also a home signal, entry signal for the Leipzig Hauptbahnhof. So passing this signal, we are already in station area. There is no opposite direction track then there anymore, and the anschließende Weichenbereich goes typically to the next main signal. If you want to watch the cap view and compare for yourself, I will put the link in the comments after I move this video to the YouTube channel, then you don't have to type it. But this guy Bergamax has a couple of cap views around the Leipzig and also in the München area where you can compare a bit. And he's coming in from Falkenberg, I think is that S4, and passing Leipzig Thekla, and then you can see you get an LF7 limit to 100 on the track. You pass this, announced a reduction of track speed limit to 80. When you're entering Leipzig Straße, you get a distance signal with a flashing green that is in announcing a signal speed limit of 70 with a ZS3V. Then he stops at Leipzig Straße. You get two repeaters for this signal here, for this distance signal, showing the same aspect, I think. Actually, in the video, he passes this signal when it is at KS2, but this does not really matter, doesn't make a difference. It switches while he is standing at Leipzig Straße. And after that, even before he gets to the signal here, the track speed limit changes to 8. When he passes this signal here, the 7 that was introduced here is actually executed here, so that we are getting on top of our track speed limit of 80, a signal speed limit of 70, and then he's going through the tunnel. And passing those signs here in the cap view video, we'll see that there is only an LF7 with an 8, and those signals, this pair of signals, is actually not there. So this is the situation that I have seen in this cap view video. Maybe I've overlooked something, like always possible. There is actually also a turn the main circuit breaker off section here in this tunnel, because obviously in this tunnel you cannot run through it with the main circuit breaker on. But this is, well, a thing in the early versions of the DLCs. They did not implement those main circuit breaker off signs and sections, the dead sections. So this is probably not what is so surprising here. Yeah, but what we see here is the, well, an anomaly or irregularity that we are getting here in LF7, and here again the same LF7, 80, even though the track speed does not change in between. So why would we have this 80 sign here? If we already got it here, there is no track in between that can come in or go out. There is no switch. This is just one single line, and we get to LF7 in a succession. Yeah, maybe it is to remind you, but well, just because you're running through a tunnel in a dead section, you might not have forgotten it. But this might actually indicate that the signaling has been changed from the time that they built this DLC and the time then in November 2020 when the CapView video was made. Maybe. In this situation here, our double signaling does not make sense and you can actually do not find it. So how might it have been before this November 2020 CapView video that those signs actually make sense here? What can we change? So in my opinion, this would make sense if this LF7 showing 80 was not there, then was not introduced, but the introduction for the 80 here were here, about here. So right, that we don't have a track speed limit reduction to 80 before we get to the signal here. In this situation, those signs make sense, or can at least make sense in a certain way. So why is that? If we are running in with our train, not stopping, not getting any signals, we will have a reduction or whatever, maybe even an improvement of the track speed limit of 10. We can run 100 here. We get announced that we have to slow down to 80 at this point, track speed limit. Then it is reduced to 80 here, and if we stay on this track, it will be improved to 100 again. If we switch over, we will get on a line that has the 120 track speed limit still on, because we are not subject to the signal speed limits that has happened here on this line, but for the track speed limit we would be subject to. But what happens if we get the ZS3 signal reduced to 70 by a signal on top of our line speed of still 100 here? Obviously we have to adhere to the lower speed of 70. And how long do we have to adhere to the lower speed of 70 here? Let's just think this away, those signs here, and just have the LF7 here. How long does it go? Until the 80 sign? Can we just accelerate to 80 again when we get here after having gotten this 7 for 70 signal speed limit? No, because the ensuing interlockings after passing the entry signal, the home signal here, runs up to the next main signal. Next main signal will be here, or maybe to the regular stopping position if we're stopping at Leipzig Nord, but at any rate longer than the 80. So without those signals, even if we get LF7 showing 80 here, we would still have to adhere to this 70 limit that goes up if we don't stop until the next main signal. If we stop here regularly, then it will end earlier, and then the 100 limit would already rule us when we start again from starting at Leipzig Nord. But if we want the train to go 80 starting here again, then we have to put this LF, not LF, the ZS3 signal here to relieve the train from the signal speed of 70. So what we learn in this situation is that the LF7 sign that only orders a different track speed cannot relieve us from a signaled speed, a speed that has been signaled with the ZS3 signal. This is why we need another ZS3 signal, and there is actually a dedicated paragraph in the signaling book that tells us that in the ensuing Weichenbereich, a speed that has been changed by a ZS3 sign can be changed again by another ZS3 sign. It can be relieved, can be made slower, but it can be made faster again. We have discussed this in connection with the ensuing Weichenbereich. And then if we want to allow the train to go even faster when the track speed limit changes to 10, we also have to modify the signal speed limit here from 80 to 100, and this would explain why we need the signals in pairs here. because track speed and signal speed actually run independently of each other. And if you are already in a station area, you have typically a very long ensuing Weichenbereich, ensuing interlockings, anschließender Weichenbereich, because it goes to or runs up to the next main signal. And so if you want to modify it, you cannot just only modify the track speed limit alone, but you have to modify the signal speed limit also. And see, the radar is clever because it is white number on black background. Yes. So white on black and black on whites are actually two different things that run independently of each other. And if you would come here naively and think, okay, I got 100 here, I got 70 here, now I've got 80, I can accelerate again, and here I can accelerate to 100. Yeah, and the good thing, it sounds plausible, but how do I know if it was a home signal or not? In real life, your Ebula would tell you. And there is probably a way to read it out of the identification code that the signal has. You can see that the home signals here have obviously a number plus one letter, whereas those other signals here have more complicated numbers. 84ZV301 with a Z points to maybe it should be an intermediate, a Zwischensignal here at this point. Interesting too that we are getting an home signal, Einfahrsignal for Leipzig Hauptbahnhof, even though we have to stop at Leipzig Nord in between before we get to Leipzig Hauptbahnhof. So we won't have a free track starting from here between Leipzig Nord and Leipzig Hauptbahnhof. It is all Bahnhof, it is all station area, right? And already Leipzig Hauptbahnhof station area. And it is sometimes surprising, at least for my naive thinking, how far away from the station you already get the home signal, especially on big stations. And how do we know it? Well, obviously we have our route knowledge, Streckenkunde-Nachweis, and then we know what signal is what. In Austria, it is great because they have those identification plates that tell us whether it is an E-Sig, in I think it is AS and ES, Einfahrsignal, Ausfahrsignal, SBK for Selbstblockstelle, BS for not bullshit, but Blockstelle, obviously. In Austria, they have it actually pinned to their signals. In Germany, we would know that, read it from the Ebula, and just know it, right? If you see, for example, in Great Britain, route knowledge, we all know that is even more important than it is here. And someone makes a route learning video, they typically know every aspect that a certain signal with a certain number can show, and what it means and what it is and where it leads to. And here, at least, if we have route knowledge, we should know where our exit signals and especially where the entry signals are. And well, one thing is, as soon as you're actually going on the left track and you're not getting in Z6 and nothing of that kind, then you probably are already in a station area, because then you don't have a track for the opposite direction. Yeah, and Ebula for the win, obviously. Now that they are making this fuss about train symbol 5 and this new thing where you can look at your screens closer, well, isn't that a thing that calls for IETMS and Integrated Electronic Train Management System, ETMS, yes, and ETCS, obviously, and Ebula, right? That should be something that we should get finally. And well, obviously, if you don't have Ebula, you would have your Buchfahrplan, your printed version of the timetable, and there typically you see where is the entry signal, the home signal, and where is the exit signal, for example. Yeah, Ebula, says Theodorus, is still not coming. It is not coming, but well, we as a community are more or less, it's our own fault if we buy every every new train because it has a different livery or different color than has been released before, and forget about all the annoying bugs of the thing that has been released 3 weeks before. Then this is what we will get. All right. Bernie says, just got absolutely emergency braked by the vigilance system just because I was taking a photo. The safety system's getting out of hand. All right. They will work on Ebula after completing PTC, says Spectre. Yeah. Yes. Well, they can maybe make a simplified version of Ebula still. They don't have to give you all the information that are in the Ebula system. Well, but on the other hand, if you look at the fact that they have not been able in real life to install the La part of the Ebula in the last decades, it's probably not so simple a system to do and make. Whatever. Well, this is what I wanted to talk about today, to actually recap the workings of the different kinds of speed limits and the thing with the ensuing interlockings, the anschließende Weichenbereich, and I think this culminates here in this question: why do we need to have two speed limit signs that show apparently the same speed in one spot? And this is great, in my opinion, to demonstrate that speed limits that come from track speed limits and speed limits that are signaled are totally different. The fun fact is actually that when we are running through this tunnel in this DLC here, is that we don't get a lot of LF7 signs, but we get a lot of signaled speed signs, and the game is controlling us to the signaled speed, what is rare. Typically the game, especially in the early DLCs, only controlled us towards or versus against the track speed and never the signal speed. But here it might do something else. So, did I turn off my DLC thing again? Great. And also my service marker. I actually prepared it, but maybe I did not display it. That's a bit sad. Now let's do that run in the opposite direction, and let's see if we can get the train going in this context. You can see I already made this trip in preparation for the stream, and at least then I got the train going. So we're starting in the south, coming from Leipzig-Connewitz and going through the tunnel and then north to Dessau. Again, give the trains 10 seconds to get adjusted to whatever the script wants them to do. Then you have a chance that it actually works. And after that, open the doors so that the train doesn't roll away. Apply the parking brake. This can also counter this bug, because you can see the doors are open, but typically this train would fill the brake cylinders a bit when the doors are open. It does it later on, but it does not initially, for whatever reason. Lights are on. Brake is released. Ebula is up and running. Bloop. Might as well turn it off. Let's get a camera to see what the second train is doing. At least it is showing something on the display. We get started with a set of 360. At the same time, we're getting the information that we are in a limit of a track speed limit of 120 here. Can close the doors. Signal speed limit will be 60 then. So we have to stick to the 60 because we're running across the switch there. Ah, this is our train. I was just wondering why do I have this G2 signal if it says marker lights are on. But all is good. There was the train next to us. Let's see if we can start our train if we release the parking brake. We are applying some power. But the train at the back is not. That is sad. Let's try it again. Sometimes it works. It has worked. I'm not touching anything for the first 15 seconds. Everything is booting up, switching. CD radar is laughing. I remember one thing that helped. Maybe I did this in this context. So I just teleported to my back cab so that I don't need to walk that far. This is now the front cab of the second train set. Close the main circuit breaker. Teleporting back. Boom. Close the doors. Bug as a feature, you name it. You can play around with the weirdness of this train. Alright, let's see if we can start it. Parking brake is released. We might want to set the reverser. First train is applying power. But it is so slow, I don't think the second train is applying anything. No, second train is not doing anything. You can see this marker move around, right? But it is not doing anything. This looks so playable. Yeah. Well, I managed it yesterday to get it going. This train. Now handbrake apply early before I do anything else. Unlock the doors. This time I don't teleport. Just want my train to come with me. Now see, it is actually not even on. Now it just turned on. It was off all the time. But the display was off. Don't know if the key here should be in on or off. It's so great that all of their paid DLCs are working, he says. Yeah. True. They just fixed the Talent 2 on Schnellfahrstrecke Köln-Aachen. But this does not mean that this here is working. At least they are cheap, yeah. Only 30 bucks if it is not on a discount. It is still a fully priced DLC. Extra DLC with no extra cost, yes. It even... No, this does not feel... This does not feel right. Now we're not even getting a moving marker here. One more try with this train. If it does not work, I will use a different train. Imagine they fix it, but it's only for trains in 1.5. Oh yeah, that is the biggest argument to sell the game. You can finally play the old rapid transit trains with the Silver Talent 2 again. Now I just wait for things to happen before I do anything. Train may roll away because we don't have any brakes on. So how did I manage this to work yesterday? No, 30 seconds should be enough. Open the doors. Apply the parking brake. Is it just the start or the entire journey? Well, as soon as it works, it worked for the whole... No, it is still off. You see, the screens are still off. There must be two conflicting scripts running, and it is always a random whether it works out or not, or something like this. Try look for the banking COMM button. I don't know for sure. Yeah, it would be so nice if there was a banking COMM. But actually the banking COMM is if you have a full train in between and not if you have two multiple units coupled together. So maybe I waited too long. No. We need Hank in the second train. Yeah, if someone drives the second train, it won't be so bad. The thing is, what you can do, you can fiddle around a bit with the settings here to make the train work. Now it actually turned on the displays at any rate. You can actually set the master switch to on. You can... You heard the sound, right? The main circuit breaker actually was off. You heard it. Bong. Switching. Can move the indirect brake, but I don't think this is a problem because the cylinders are actually empty. Sometimes by fiddling around I made it run So that is the front one. And what does the rear one say? It is actually applying power. But the problem then was, I cannot brake anymore. I can move the throttle and brake handle into braking, but you see, nothing happens with our electronic brake. So I wonder how I managed this. So maybe if you open the door, you will at the correct point. Congrats, Tiger, you got 50% of that handle working. And Theodorus, by the way, in the Bauer 185.2, the banking COMM button is on the most left screen. The button's color is red on that one, if I remember correctly. Is that so? Does the 185.2 have a banking COMM? And you can use it in the Manch Bessarbahn? I will actually have to look at that. And don't need to run my banking locomotive with the external cameras. Theodorus. Let's have a look. Before we go back and drive a service through the tunnel at Leipzig. In a different train. But that's funny. Sometimes you can get this train to work, sometimes you can't. Maybe you have to interrupt the script at the correct point or start it at the correct point or whatever. So, Manch Bessart. What did we play last time? Vorarlberg 1. Was it that one? Laufach, Heigenbrücken, can be. So, now show me where the banking COMM button is. To activate this locomotive at the back. Safety systems, headlights, neutral, forward,
AFB,
AFB,
AFB, AFB, Störung, Störung.
So, you mean the emergency brake button? No, probably not. What does he say? The banking COMM button is on the most left screen. The button's color is red on that one, if I remember correctly. So, can we get to a different screen? On the radio. Yes, you're right. And now we can bank the locomotive at the end of the train. That is a weird place. I would have thought this is the emergency call button. For a train stop, requesting a train stop or something like this. Oh, unfortunately, this is the service where we have to wait for the other train to pass. Well, it is a city radar. But it's true, it is the banking COMM button here. Dovetail gonna dovetail. Alright. But now I want to see if that actually works. Well, good thing they did not use this button for it. Maybe this is the button to open the doors. From all the unused buttons they could select. right? Could have used any of those arcane buttons here. Come on. The train is not even here. Come on, train, come on, train, come on, train. I cannot wait forever. I am on a live stream. The German sand patch grade. Yeah. This looks like a super fun service. 11 minutes and most of it is just waiting. Yes. Well, we played it in the last week's video. It's actually not so long a service, but actually sometimes I don't mind waiting a bit on services like this and watch the other trains passing by, if there are actually other trains passing by. I love waiting in Simrail multiplayer, Perny says, when there is a human dispatcher at my station. Yeah, sometimes they do this really well. They inform people how long they have to wait and why and stuff. Push. Good job, CD Radar. You deleted the cheap viewer's message because before I actually wasted time on reading it. As if anyone wants cheap viewers. The Raider says he was delayed 20 minutes at Warszawa Centralna today. Well, yeah. Sometimes this happens. But if you can actually hear what the dispatcher is doing and the other trains are doing, then it's not so bad. So wonder why the train got priority anyway. Probably because it was already running and we are slow. But now let's see if it actually works with the banking COMM. Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Theodorus, for telling me that. You have to press the Nothalt emergency stop button to make things going. Sometimes it is counterintuitive. It is good to try both so you can understand as driver that sometimes the dispatcher has hard time sorting trains out. Yeah, that's true. But I give that to the dispatchers anyway. And sometimes the dispatcher should try to drive one of those heavy coal trains through the 20 or 30 kilometers ramp and then get them on speed before they always ask you, can you get your train to speed, man? Yes, it is coming, but it takes a bit. You're welcome, though given the choice I wouldn't pick this loco as my first choice when I play. Yeah, but actually now I know that there is a banking COMM functionality. Did you cheer something, AJ? There is a sale on subs, says Perny. Yes, there is a sale on subs. No, it doesn't work. I'm sorry that it doesn't work. If there is anything that I need to do, tell me. There are sometimes weird with the buttons in the cab. AC4400 has a switch for a refrigerator, but not for safety systems on console. Yeah, true. True, sometimes this is a bit weird. Thank you for subscribing, Perny. So, what would I use to go this direction then? Maybe just use the... $766? Or which one? Nah. Don't want to... This one not, this is weird. Those have the problems with the light. Let's use this one. Leipzig-Connewitz to Dessau. Let's just try. Let's see what we get. What do you need safety systems for if you have a refrigerator? You can drive Dostos on the rapid transit. Yeah, with the 182, the Dostos come into it. With the red 182, you can drive Dostos. Unfortunately, not pulled with a Vectron. The Vectron, I think it was the first time then that I saw the LZB on the Vectron today. There's something. Yeah, here's the FIFA, the FIFA fuse, the FIFA fuse. Need to unlock my brakes. There is no. Fortunately, we held in place because of the doors, because they are already set to running. We don't have an AFB in this constellation. Headlights and instrument lights are on. Headlights. Alright, coach lights. Turn them on for safety reasons. FIFA stream though. It worked! Thank you so much for cheering, AJ. So, interesting question. What locomotive do we have on the other end? We have R182. And the train is rolling away. Because the trains here are starting with no brakes on. Interesting fact. And no AFB. So after closing the doors, we should have used some brakes. Again. Ah. Brake cylinder's not empty, probably. Well, we'll see where we get. 60, that means we can release. Well, I heard a lecture yesterday that about FIFA. Moving from Switzerland to Paris. And then moving back from Paris to Switzerland because the French Constitutional Council decided that FIFA has to pay taxes in France. And they cannot be exempt the way that the French Parliament thought they can exempt FIFA from paying taxes and invite them to Paris, and so they had to move back to Switzerland because they did not want to pay taxes in France after all. No way they have to pay taxes. No, this is nothing that someone like FIFA wants to do. Not paying taxes. So Track limit from 120 will be reduced to 80, it says. You're not paying taxes either. So how do I brake this one? I can use the electronic brake, the electric brake to slow down my train primarily. They don't make enough money from publishing so many new titles, so it must be really hurt. Yep. It's always the poorest organizations that are exempt from paying money, from paying taxes. So, how late am I? 1 minute late. Well, with a bit of luck. We can find the back. Did anyone see the LF7 that was announced with the reduction to 80? I can't remember. Leipzig MDR. From watching those CapView videos, by the way. You have to watch, if you watch the CapView videos, then just pay attention to here at Leipzig MDR, MDR Mitteldeutscher Rundfunk, and look how those buildings here look in real life. Those are the most, well, fucked up buildings that you can find in Leipzig and around. Well, just for colorandi causa. What's wrong now? Why can I not? Maybe I should not start the train with the buttons for the train brake. All good. That was just me being stupid. Theodorus, here's the thing I don't understand. Why the Baureihe 182 6,800 horsepower locomotive are allocated for passenger duty, but the Baureihe 185 with less horsepower locomotive are for freight. Well, for the Euro Sprinter, I think passenger duty, because they are so fast. And can get the passenger train moving, or can get it up to speed faster. And I think there are more different parameters that you want to have in a freight locomotive as compared to a passenger locomotive. Not only the top speed, but also certain gear ratios or whatever. Alright, 20 seconds late. We can actually make a bit up. And I will try to drive this train a bit more properly. Where's my gauge actually for seeing where? This is one of those locomotives where you cannot accelerate if the brake cylinders are not completely drained. Right. Leipzig Wilhelm Leuschnerplatz will be next. We can go 80. Well, we will probably not reach 80. Sometimes it is strange in trains in world there is a freight service on Bremen-Oldenburg with Bauer 103 of all locos. That is actually weird. Oh, and I did not watch. We moved. If you read the chat, then you actually get to accelerate to 80. And I read that service like that actually happened in reality. I dimly have a recollection that something like this actually happened. But I don't know the circumstances anymore. I really have to pay a bit more attention to my driving now. And now we are getting no red lights here in the tunnel. I wanted to demonstrate how you can drop from a restricted 1000 Hertz to a restricted 500 after starting your train. Still not. And now it works. Have to work and wait until the whole train, the whole brake pipe is empty. Theodore says, yes, those other factors that I do not know and I don't understand. It just feels it's weird if we're just comparing in terms of the maximum power output. Because the 182 is bigger. Yeah. I guess this is the power that you... In a passenger train that runs on a line where you have to do a lot of stops, then obviously what the loco should be able to do is to get the train on speed fast. Oh. So much for focusing on my driving better. You want the locomotive to be able to get the train on speed fast to reach high top speeds, and I guess for that you need somewhat high-powered locomotive too. But what do I know about why a locomotive is chosen from the people who make those decisions? Maybe just Siemens had the better connections than Bombardier at the time, or vice versa, or whatever. Never know. Laberbremse. That's more like it. In the cab views that I have seen, you will get released not with an announced 80, but with an announced 60 at this point here. Because here you're running on track speed limit 80, and you wonder where's the point in getting a signal speed limit of 80 when you're already on a track speed 80 part. Only makes sense if that announced speed limit of 80 will be valid longer than the track speed limit, but if that makes any sense, I don't know. So, release. Wait for it to be released completely. Try it once. Try it a second time. Well, it's a bit like the Pendulino in SimRail. Sometimes you just have to try accelerating twice before the brakes completely release. Or 10 times, yeah. You're right, CD Radar. So, oh. Nice weather we're having. Here is the 80 limit. We still have not seen any LF7 sign again. Here is our ZS310 that raises the signal speed from 80 to 100, but we have still not seen a LF7 sign that does the same thing. But still, the game is convinced that we can go 100 now. So for this tunnel and LF7 signs, I'm really a bit at a loss there, because there was an announced reduction to line speed 80 before entering the tunnel, but I have not seen an LF7 sign that actually executed it. And when going out of the tunnel again, there is no sign relieving the 80. At least I have not seen it so far. Oh. And I'm just not paying attention to anything today. And now we're floating because we can't brake like this. We're not stopping in Leipzig Nord today, ladies and gentlemen. I am so sorry. I'm discussing things. We have stopped in Leipzig Nord so often today to look at those signs. We're not stopping again. And Theodoros, yes, that happens in real life too. Political motives overruled by logical reason. This happens. Now I think we are on a already on a 120 track. Well, maybe we can make up some time now that we did not stop in Leipzig Nord. With this rain we cannot use the brakes to the full, otherwise we will slide, ruin our wheels and everything else. So full service on the e-brakes is too much. I don't want full service. 6 should be enough for the e-brake here. Otherwise we will just slide. Well, we didn't slide so far. Just saw the LF7 for the improvement to 160. We can't go on LZB here because the driving trailer does not accommodate this. I think. At least there was no LZB fuse or anything. What I still don't really know, by the way, is why the electric brake has a 1A and 1B setting as well. Maybe to just... so that you can just link it to the train brake. Because for the train brake, 1A and 1B makes sense with Schlabberbremse, not removing the blocks away from the wheel when going back from 1B to 1A. But on the electric brake, there are no brake shoes to be moved away from the wheel or towards the wheel. So is it just to make it so that you can better lock it, or is there any point? On the bright side, I'm early, says Theodorus. Yes, that is the bright side here. Let's not forget to close the doors, otherwise it will have been... We don't have a ZG2. Christ. What did I do now? I teleported away. We needed ZG2, otherwise we cannot. The teleporting around button got a spec. Now I'm late again. But without a Zugschluss, it is not good driving. First time doesn't give us any power. Second time gives us power. '60 should be okay even in this rain here. Rackwitz by Leipzig. Yeah, no rear lights, right? Well, we don't have any rear lights. I just turned it off. Maybe I should have used the switch for turning on the external lights. Maybe it is off too. Well, those are the things that you should actually check before you take over a train. So the dispatcher at our starting station still thinks we have not left because the Zugschluss has not left the station. Loco is red, that is good enough, says CD radar. Well, at the next station we will find out. If we can turn it on. (160 part). And I'm late again on my brakes. Today is not the day for proper train driving, I'm afraid. At least I'm not sliding here. Now I am. I heard it. Don't stand, don't stand. No, I can't because the brakes are full. So at least I can check what's wrong with the Zugschluss. Reading lights, exterior lights, master switch on. Does that mean we have a Zugschluss now? We don't. Actually looks like someone stole the rear lights, doesn't it? Marker lights normal, high beams normal. I think marker lights should be just okay. And we put it. Tail lights should show tail lights. Now it does. But only if I put it front and remote locomotive and this vehicle only. Now it works. This is something that... Well, this might understand whoever may. And we managed to be late again. And only every second time we actually get some traction. Don't tell me the reverser needs to be at neutral. Luckily, it was not the case. But you had to switch around the switch after turning on the external light master switch or something like this. At least the thunderstorm ended. Not so easy to read in that lighting. Now we are fast anyway. Overshot. 3 kilometers to go. This time I pay attention so that we don't blotch the stop at Schortau again. Let's see how fast, how early I need to slow down from 160 by just using the e-brake at first. So the whole train is braked from the rear, because the locomotive is only applying braking power. But the timing looks quite okay. Can actually release it a bit. Best of the stream, Perny says. Sometimes they just don't go well. Been there too. Yeah, you're right. And I can tell you from experience, if you are trying to do anything else, like reading, thinking, playing with the dogs, this definitely does not help a lot. So focusing is a great thing. So it makes a lot of sense that railway carriers don't allow their drivers to listen to audiobooks or play games on their mobile phones while driving trains. Delitzsch Unterer Bahnhof is next stop. Still in the LZB part where we can go 160 without having LZB on, obviously, or where the tracks allow higher speeds. Signals are nice and green. And here we go for slowing down. There is at least one stop, I think, where we have to go into a loop and get signals. At least I hope there is. Otherwise it will be quite a long... How many stream ideas do I have currently lined up? Actually, not so many. About 2 or 3, to be honest. No more. I was thinking about doing something about suspension, since there was this suspension update. I was thinking about doing a bit more about Austrian operating rules. That is really a small amount, yeah. In Germany would say, ich lebe von der Hand in den Mund. What ideas are concerned, but otherwise, or if you look at it from this perspective, I have like 125 videos on my channel now. If you subtract like 10-15 B-reel streams, it is still 110 videos about train tech signaling rules, operating rules, whatever. And so I've covered the most interesting pieces, I think. So what you can always do is go back and look more into details, like what we did today, with things that you already have talked about, what totally makes sense in my opinion, to connect the dots and stuff in a more detailed way. But on the other hand, you don't get that many views for videos of that kind, because, well, who wants to watch to our video to learn about the specifics of LF7 next to ZS3 signs. And obviously you don't need to watch. It is a very specific audience, and even within this specific audience, only a handful of people are actually interested to go into detail like this. Or listen to a German clumsily explaining in English Austrian signaling rules or something like this. So they might rather stick to their native people. I don't know. Well, if you have any ideas, if anyone has any ideas, please don't hesitate. I'm looking forward to the Japanese DLC, I'm looking forward to the Dutch DLC, because that obviously gives me new opportunities to really dive deep into it. I hope for one more update on SimRail, so that I can go back and do some SimRail, because Polish signaling, there is still something to be covered, like speed signaling, level crossing signals. To start with, wrong direction movement. The multi-traction on Pendolino. Yeah, actually, multi-traction, multi-unit operation, push-pull operation. That, for example, is a very, very, very specific matter. You can watch some videos on Alvin Mesched's YouTube channel about the zeitmultiplexe Wendezugsteuerung. Really interesting. But far beyond what I can present on a cozy simulator like Trains in the World, for example. Frankfurt Fulda should be quite interesting with the ICET as another tilting train, GNT. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that, to see how GNT, if ever GNT is implemented there. So that will definitely be interesting. So I don't mind the routes that they are selling with Train Sim World 5. If you only look at the routes that you get for the price of the standard edition, it is something that they could have sold as a summer pass and I would have bought it without hesitation. I think the gap between the standard and the deluxe edition is a bit steep, with like 25-30 bucks, and all you get in addition is a different color on the Vectron, some old Talbot cars, and, well, the Pendolino, obviously. Theodorus, we take this topic as hobby. Other mostly just leave it as work stuff and be done with it. Leave it for tomorrow once they go home. Well, I guess it is really a small group that can find my stuff interesting, because I'm not professional enough to do it really professionally, and on the other hand, I'm too complicated for casual players. So it's only the non-professionals who want to know more, like you guys and me. Still in the 160, and that was the station where we get in the loop. Wait, there are actually casual rail sim players. Super Mario trains. Press W to drive, S to stop. Space to blow the horn, and left shift to throw turtle shells. That's what SPV wants. That's what I was thinking, Theodorus. Well, as long as it drives, stops and blows the horn, I think you can still sell it. What's wrong? Why did I not get 1000 hertz here? PZB should be active, otherwise the indicators don't make any sense. And they are limiting us to 60, no? Ah, they were limiting us to 80, but we were still much too fast for that. Now here it is. Maybe here the GPA was not implemented, so that we did not get 1000 hertz. We were faster than 95 when we hit the yellow 8. Oh guys, you are playing SimRail. Yes, and nobody can hijack their trains. I don't know how many people ever hijack the train. And you two guys met in SimRail, that is nice. Well, we are stuck at Charsnitzer on red signals. Alright. And you can have a party while waiting for the congestion to be cleared up. See, the radar has been waiting for 30 minutes and nothing. Jeez. And I'm on my way to Bitterfeld. It's AI dispatched. So the AI has to clear up the congestion. So the AI generated the congestion, so I don't think that it would do any... Oh, never mind. It changed for other train. Well then, there is something happening at least. For you guys. EU3. More happening, more waiting for you, but at least something is happening. It's not in a deadlock yet. Taxi at the exit signal. Am I out of the Weichenbereich here, or is there still coming? Probably I'm out and can go 120? No, 80. Alright. Guess I'm out of the Weichenbereich. EU3 is a non-moderated server you can try dispatching stuff in, yeah. And that restarts every 6 hours or so, no? To get all the congestions out of the way. Oh. I should really pay attention to what I am doing. Now I can go 120. I have to stop at Grappin. So not too much accelerating. And Perny says, guess I'm not the only one playing Simrail while watching the stream. What? It's not the worst thing that you can do while watching a stream. CD Radar wanted to do one quick ride before bed, and it doesn't happen because the AI does not want him to do that. Sloop. It won't be forced today. Wolfen by Bitterfeld is the next thing. There is actually quite a lot of track north of Leipzig in this DLC. Sometimes you wonder how many stations there are still until they get to Dessau. But this Wolfen is quite close, so no point in accelerating too hard. If we don't stop here, we could go through the station with 140, or we have to stop. And CD Radar is complaining that he was not first come, first served. It is annoying. Yeah, maybe you are driving one of those old coal trains. And the other guy has passengers on board. Both of them had passengers. Alright, and he's a regional express even. Well, then not. Wolfen. By the number length. Alright. That's true, the shorter the number. Jesnitz in Anhalt. Getting... Oh, we have already passed the 2 hours mark. Limit to 70. Okay. That requires some braking, so that we don't get stopped by the PZB. For some reason we're almost back on time. Now I forced it. Graffiti Central. Yes. Yeah. They really invested in their graffiti here. And CD radar is still red. And another player is going into the congestion. We're still in the 70 here, yeah? We are. At least one train passed. So why are we slowed down to 70 here? Is there something wrong with the track? Now we can go 120 again. Ragoon. And overshot. My. I thought so. Well, doesn't register. Raccoon. Yes, CD radar got green. We got a green light. Wegen der Vorfahrt eines anderen Zuges verzögert sich unsere Weiterfahrt um wenige Minuten. Nearly 50 minutes delay. You got the request for interlock direction change. Cool. I actually did not realize that you are dispatching, Perny. At Tunnel, yeah, so it makes sense. And even without the chaos and myself not focusing, we are almost back on the timetable. And we have a Zugschluss. Marke. That is a weird name. Yeah, Regional Express with 50 minutes delay. That is really fun, you're right, Theodorus. Just imagine being on that. Well, sometimes it happens. If there are people on the tracks or nonsense like this. So, second but last stop that we are actually approaching. But it's 6.6 kilometers to go there. On a 120 track. It's like a stop but not for passengers. This is what PT is. Technical stop. Postui techniczny. All right. Oops. You're playing the game in Polish, Bernie. Of course not, I just googled it, he says. Well, someone who can speak Finnish should be able to speak any language on earth. Yep, Train Sim World 6's Theodorus should have an option of random events happening in tile table. That is true. That's something that they should aim for. I guess it's hard to implement it in timetable mode, but still... I think they are working on stuff like that already. If you look at what they implemented and what they did not implement, then it's always rather gameplay related stuff that actually gets implemented, like now almost route merges, not really, but you can swap from one route to the other. That has been asked for forever. And what they won't implement is new signaling, new safety systems. Because not enough people actually want to go the extra mile to even understand it a bit. There are players who want to understand it and would appreciate it, but I guess not enough. But for random events it can actually happen. Yes, at least one forced 750 point stop. Second time ever meeting up with a player in SimRail, Bernie says. Now the two of them have actually managed to meet up. Cool. So, and for the last stop, please. There is actually tunnel in tunnel. Yes, I think that was what the name is for. This is one of the few stations that I actually know where they are in Simrail. Tunnel. Actually walked through the tunnel. Did you also walk through the tunnel? So we're running on a 120 line and are getting a signaled speed of 130. I always wondered what the point is in that one. But still, we are getting 1000 hertz here and have to slow down to 80. Now the line speed at least increased to 130. We're getting another 1000 hertz for the KS2. $80. And Theodoros wrote a long statement that I am very interested to read, but I will have to stop my train first, otherwise I will blow that again. Yeah, that is a very good question. That Spectre asks why we got the 1000 hertz on a 13 on a 130 restriction. I guess because they put a magnet there, but I can't give you a better answer. It should not have been there. I don't think that there is any situation that explains that. So, last stop, Theodoros. Yeah, for all the hate we give them, thankfully they don't just completely abandon train sim because of low player numbers, low interest in majority of people. Probably that's why they milked us so much too. Well, if you compare Train Sim World, how the game is now and how the people are acting now that are selling it, and compare it to how it was done 2 or 3 years ago, you can see a significant change from more simulation oriented to more selling a computer game oriented, in my opinion, at least. Many people who were really into Train Sim, like Sam or Adam, are no longer with the company, and they hired people who know how to sell a computer game but don't know the first thing about running trains. But I guess you have to get the money to pay your people, and so it has to work somehow. Don't know how the people at Simrail do that, because they have to work on the game on and on is still in early access, and they are not getting any money in between. Well, and Perny says, swear a train just popped out of nowhere that was not there before. Oh yeah. This is when you have those little spells as a dispatcher and just take a little nap and all of a sudden, plop, there's a train popping out of nowhere. And now Simrail crashed when turning off my lights. Think this was enough sim for the night, he says. Well, and CD Radar says, yes, I think so too. That this was enough. Rail sim and sim rail for the night. Guys, thank you so much for bearing with me on this old route and even at this very specific topic today. And CD Reyes says, well, that was fun, 10 minutes ride that took an hour. That sometimes happens. Spectre says, thank you for the stream, see you next time. And Theodorus, yes, guys. Well, great. I hope you enjoyed anyway what we did. If you have any ideas what we can talk about, what we can look even closer, then don't hesitate to tell me, so that we can still have even more videos on top of the whatever 120 that are already on the channel. And I trust that there are still more interesting topics that we can talk about. Alright, thanks guys, have a nice time and see you next time.